Right. And hi, and good morning. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. If you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, it's super exciting to have you join us this fantastic Saturday morning. So, a lot of publicity has already gone into the topic of conversation, and I'm just going to speak very briefly on what we're going to achieve with today's conversation. A couple of days ago, a few days ago, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine about quitting to start or starting to quit. And the conversation essentially centered around, at what point does one take the decision to leave something? At what point do you decide that you've had enough of something? At what point do you decide that it's okay to give up on something? And then at what point also, should you hold on regardless of where a situation is at? Now, what led to this conversation was we had this insightful discussion about whether or not it is okay to quit and whether those who quit are failures. And of course, everyone would have one opinion or the other, one idea or the other about that particular subject. But then the realization and the fact is that quitting doesn't necessarily make one a failure because there are times when it is super important to quit something, to quit a relationship, to quit a job, to quit a business, to just leave a certain space and a certain environment. And I took a quick poll, from those who are on my WhatsApp contact list. If you're not on my WhatsApp contact list, well, and the findings were so diverse, numerous, and at the end of the day, there are lots of persons who feel that quitting is a sign of failure, that quitting is a sign of weakness. Hmm. That might be right to an extent, that might also be wrong to a very large extent. And the thrust of today's conversation is going to center around when it is time to quit, how to quit graciously without being a failure or without your decision to quit something being considered a sign of weakness. Thank you once again for joining us. Julius Omokhunu is my name, and I'll be joined for this conversation this morning by a personal, very good friend of mine and a fantastic business coach, Ajayi Olalekan. Before I bring him up and add into this live stream, I'm going to say a few things about Coach Dee. Yeah, Coach Dee, the D stands for divine. He'll tell you more about himself. But I always like to reference the fact that, Coach Dee and I go a very long way back. And a couple of days ago, we were reminiscing about how many years it's been since we've known each other, and it's been a decade, a fantastic decade, I should say. He's amazing at what he does. He's one of the brightest and the best emerging business coaches this side of Africa. And without further ado, I'd like to add him to this live stream now. Good morning, Coach D. Thank you so much for. Yeah.
Let's go.
How you doing, man?
Very well. So excited to be here this morning. What's up? How's Abuja?
Yeah. Abuja is good. The weather is acting up this morning. I'm not sure. It's not bright. It's not dark. It's not sunny. It's not rainy. It's just somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think it's everywhere. It's a national cake. It's the same here in Ondo State. So let's just enjoy it.
So,
okay, how does my screen look? Are we looking good? Are we looking good from your end? Am I good?
Oh yeah. You look good, but I'm not sure. The camera is a bit at an angle. I'm not sure how you could remedy that.
How about now?
Amazing. This is good.
All right then. We're good to go.
Awesome. So thanks again for joining this conversation. And before today, we've had quite some interactions on quitting, on failing, and holding on. One of the things that a lot of inspirational speakers, a lot of transformational speakers and teachers will tell anybody is that quitting is not an option. I hear that, I heard that a lot when I was growing up. Quitting is not an option because winners don't quit, they say, and quitters don't win.
Quitters don't win.
So, for a lot of people, it becomes difficult to judge, whether or not they are winning simply because they are unable to see something through. But then I would also love to express the fact that perseverance is a virtue, so not taking the easy way out by just stopping something halfway is also a virtue in itself. But on the whole, what do you think of the notion that winners don't quit and quitters don't win?
All right, one thing I've come to understand about life is that life has two phases. I mean, FACES. It means when there is good, there is bad. When there is tenacity and perseverance, there's also quitting. And it's two ways. Perseverance and being tenacious can be negative and positive. The same way, so quitting can be both negative and positive. If you hold on too much or too long in a thing, when you should quit, it can also become it can be negative. And if you also quit too soon when you should stay in it and hold on, that's also another side. So really, I get the fact that when people say quitters don't win, winners don't quit, it just simply means that we need to also help some people who get to be involved in something, and because it's not just working for a bit, they just throw in the towel and they're gone. So that statement, winners don't quit and quitters don't win, could work for them. But there's also the other side to it, where really there is something you keep doing and doing and doing over and over again, that you need to get to a point where you ask yourself, is this worth continuing, or should I stop? So I think basically what this discussion is going to be centered around is the wisdom, how to know exactly when it is time to quit. Because like you said, and I think it's beautiful that quitting is an art. Definitely, there's an intelligence to it. There's an intelligence to quitting something. The intelligence will tell you when exactly you should quit. The intelligence will also show you how exactly should you go about quitting. So man, while it is true that sometimes you stay tenacious, you don't quit, also some other times you need to be able to evaluate when you need to quit. Life is two faces there.
Okay, so you talked about knowing when to hold on and knowing when to quit, and I think as you also mentioned, that will be the thrust of this conversation. So let's talk about holding on. I had a conversation with a friend after conceiving this whole webinar and all. I had a conversation with a friend, and he has been in a job for the past 6 years, and when he took this job, his initial target was to work on the job in the organization for 4 years, rise to a certain position within that 4 years, and then get an employment somewhere else at an organization that is higher on the food chain in his industry. It's been 6 years. I think by December it will be almost 7 years that he joined this organization. He stopped getting his promotions after the 4th year, which was when he initially wanted to quit the company. And then he told himself, okay, 1 more year and I'll get 1 more promotion and then I'm out. And it turns out he didn't get a promotion, and then he said 1 more year, I'll get a promotion and then I'm out. So for him, it's become a challenge, to get that one last promotion before leaving. He's comfortable with the financial package on offer, and maybe the environment is also a bit comfortable. I have my own ideas of whether or not he was, deliberately being too comfortable in his zone, in his comfort zone at the moment. But then, is it a good idea from this scenario and with my friend's situation? Is it a good idea, or is perseverance a virtue at this kind of juncture?
Ultimately, we all will need to make our decisions. Because when we get into the heart of the discussion, then we're going to look at what exactly matters to us, matters to you as a person. Because when it comes to knowing when to quit, how to quit can be a general. We can actually look at it generally, and just give some tips. But when it comes to knowing when exactly to quit, we're going to differ. That's the point. I'm going to differ from you because our situations are going to be different, and two, our personality, our person, our value system are also different. So it's going to rub off on when exactly a person decides to quit. For example, I could value my faith. For example, I value my faith. I'm just going to as an example, and I'm still going to probably mention that a lot. I value my faith a lot. As a matter of fact, there are 3 things I value the most in life. Number 1 is my faith. That's my Christian faith. Number 2 is my family. I don't joke. Okay, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I just noticed that your side of the screen went off. So I value my faith. I value my family. That's number 2. And 3, I value my health. So for some other person, what they value may differ from what I value. And so therefore, if a job, for example, clashes with my faith, I don't think it twice. For example, I've had to turn down very huge offers simply because the jobs were going to require that I work on a Sunday. And I said, no, I'm going to be in church on Sunday. I'm not going to take this job. But for some other person, because his faith may not be of that much paramount importance to him, if they offer him a job that takes away his Sunday, it just feels like the money is good, man, I'm going to take this job. So our value system differs. So when it comes to knowing when exactly to quit, we may actually differ. So there may not be a general rule for when exactly to quit, because some of these things will differ from person to person. So in his own case, it just simply means that while it's looking like no promotion is coming, it's just kind of probably feeling so comfortable with probably the financial security that comes from the job, the environment that he still enjoys and all of that. If the environment, let's flip the coin. If the environment were to be toxic, if the money was not probably enough, most likely he would have actually quit and go do something else. So it just means that right now, while he's still holding on for this is just an assumption, why he may still be holding on looking for the promotion is because the environment still works, the money still works. Okay, so we can still hold on 1 more year, 2 more years. So, but for somebody like me, some of us are hardcore go getters. If I say I'm going to quit by this year, trust me, chances are that I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. So our value system differs. So we may take different decisions in the same situation based on our value system.
Amazing. So I know Dennis is watching. Dennis is a friend of mine, and I know he's getting value from this because you spoke to something, a conversation that we also had while the publicity for this webinar was going on. So let's just from there segue into the meat of today's conversation. How do you know when to quit? Dennis, my friend, started a business, founded a company in 2016, and that business was, it was supposed to be the next big thing in Asaba, where he started that business. And from 2016 to 2020, that's about 4 years, there was no growth, there was no progress, there was nothing to indicate that this business was going to take off. And then during the pandemic, of course, everything went downhill. And he thought, well, this is an opportunity because businesses are thriving in the pandemic. Maybe I could, pivot and do something new with my business. And then he took a loan and had a fantastic idea. Took a loan, invested in the business, in the hope. I think I'm right to emphasize hope. In the hope that the investment was going to pay off. It was supposed to be a calculated risk. Turns out, Dennis lost all of his investment. He's in a lot of debt. And the business is no different from where it was when he founded it in 2016. I felt if I had, had the opportunity to speak to Dennis in 2020 before he took that loan to invest in his business, I would have told him, well, now is a good time to quit that business and maybe start a different one. The question then comes, Coach Dee, when is the right time to give up on something? When is the right time, to say, I'm done holding on, I'm done trying, I'm done doing everything that I can, I'm done putting in my best? When is the right time to just throw in the towel, so to speak?
All right, so I will lay the foundation of the fact that, based on our value system, we may differ. I'll just give some general tips around what you may see in a business, in a career that makes you feel like, man, I think it's actually time to quit. So I'm going to start from where what I already mentioned before. Number one, it's going to be, and of course, most of these things will require that you are at a certain high level of self-awareness. You need to be really self-aware to be able to actually do something, take some of those decisions. And for example, one of the issues I feel many business people and career people have is that we really don't talk. I mean, it's almost like a general phenomenon. People don't open up sometimes until things have gotten so bad. Because there's a point you get to sometimes in your business that you need to just pause and talk to somebody. You need to talk to a mentor, you need to talk to a business coach, a business consultant, somebody who is much more experienced. That's one. And two, somebody who is detached from the business or the job, who can actually help you x-ray things without any emotions attached. Because oftentimes, when it comes to quitting or not quitting, the reason why it becomes very difficult is our emotions. Because oftentimes, the more invested you are in a thing, the more emotionally tied you are to the thing. If you've been in a relationship for 10 solid years, it's difficult for you to leave that relationship compared to somebody who has just been in the relationship for just a month. So the person who has been in it for just a month feels like, what do I have to lose? I've not spent so much money. I've not made too many calls. I've not made too many travels. To hell with you, boo. But the guy who's been there for 10 years looks back and be like, where do we start from? How do I start all over again? All the money I've spent, all the time I've invested. So it is the emotions that often, hinder us from actually taking some of those decisions. For example, too, there are a lot of people today doing jobs that they are not happy to do. There are a lot of people today doing jobs that is totally freaking them out. But the reason why they're still in the job is because somehow emotionally, the concept of their financial security is tied to that business, and they can't see beyond it. They can't see, they're asking themselves questions like, okay, if I quit this job, how do I survive? Where do I get money to feed and all of that? So if you're school to still hold on to this, and like we generally say, a bird in hand is actually better than two that is actually on the tree. So let's go straight. Number one, if a job or a business is at variance with your value system, for me as a person, based on my own view and perspective of life, it's time to quit. Like I said earlier, the three things that it may not be the three things that you value, it may not be the things that you value, but everybody should have a value system. The things that you hold important and dear to you, the things that you will not compromise about. Like I said, I hold my faith very important, I hold my family very important, and I hold my health also very important. And when any job or business comes at variance with any of the three, one, if it hinders me from practicing my faith, it's time to quit. That's me. So I'm simply saying, you also think about your value system, think about the things that you value. And is your job or your business constantly and presently at variance with it? If it is at variance with it, it may mean that it is time to quit. For example, too, in business, knowing when to quit would also, like I said, may require that you talk to somebody. Sometimes when your business is not working, it is not necessarily the fact that you need to quit. It may just be that your management approach of the business needs to change. And if you actually do, put in a few changes, tweak it a little, things may just overnight turn around for you. Things may just change. If you probably have a job or you have a career and you're having issues with time management, with time and all of that, it may just be a time structuring issue. You may really not need to quit. So if you are probably talk to somebody who can sit down with you, analyze your thoughts, analyze the situation, you may be able to get some of those advice. But generally, broadly, number one, if a business or career is at variance with your value system, it's time to quit. Number two, why do we do business? Why do we work? I tell you, while it's to be actively engaged, but I feel like the major priority is money. That's the truth. The reason why you're working is to get paid a salary so that you can actually keep body and soul together. The reason why you're in the business is to make money too. So while there may be other motivations, you want to build a legacy, you want to, contribute to the society, I feel like all of those things are really secondary. We want money. So if you're in a business or a career and the money isn't there, for me, I'll tell you, it's time to quit. One of the reasons I quit my job in 2019 is because the money was not there. Okay, there were other reasons too, but one of the reasons is because the money wasn't there. So, in 2019, I was working a job as a personal assistant and I was earning 55,000. I can show it open now because I'm no longer there. I was earning 55,000 naira and I wake up very early in the morning, living in Lagos, wake up as early as 4, get dressed, go to the office around 6 a.m. because I need to be at the office around 7. I get to close when my boss closes, sometimes around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. And it's that crazy. And we did our masters together. So when we get admission for masters, I had to apply to my boss to get a time concession. So I began to close around 4 5. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say is I get to leave out as early as 6 a.m. and I get to come back around 10, around 11 every day of 2019. And I get to earn 55,000 naira. And after all the deductions that I made from the money, I'm left with 50,500 naira. And my bills were going haywire. And at some point I had to ask myself, this money is not meeting my needs. And how long am I going to stay on this job, hoping that things are going to get better, hoping that probably I'm going to get a promotion or I'm going to get another position in the company. Imagine you have a bill of 1 million naira and your job pays you 50,000 naira. So that's like 5% of your bills. So the point is, it's not worth it. That's the truth. There's actually nothing to be secured about in that. If before the month ends, your salary is gone, And when your salary comes, you get your phone, you disperse the whole salary, and there is still 95% bills to be covered. It definitely means the money is not there. So you can be in a business or a career where the money isn't just worth it. That may be a sign that it's time to quit. Why are you stretching? I see you stretch. So if the money isn't there, if you're undervalued, if you're putting in so much into it, and so little is coming back, it may, don't forget, I'm very careful of my choice of word. It may be a sign that it is time to quit, and it also may not be a sign. So sometimes you may just need to hold on a little. If it's a business, especially, I need to mention that sometimes it may just mean that you need to hold on a little. Walk around your practices, the operations, and how you run the business, and things can change. But I mean, these things may require that you talk to somebody and analyze this. But I'm simply saying, number one, if it's a variant with your value, it's time to quit. Number two, if the money is not worth it, it may be time to quit. Number three, if it drains you, very important. If it drains you, if it affects your health, physically and mentally, whether it's a business or it's a career, it's time to take a break. It may not mean that you need to quit. Especially it's a business, you may need to just take a break and sit down and ask yourself if this is worth it. So whatever puts your health, your mental health, your physical health in danger is something you should really consider quitting. That's number three. And finally, I'm going to say, if you're not making progress, if you're just running and walking in circles, no advancement, no improvement, 4 years in a job, you've not learned anything new, you've not been promoted, you're just in one spot, it's also time to quit. It was one of the reasons I also quit my job. So I was working on myself, personal development. When I started the job, I didn't have a certificate in management consulting. I didn't have a master's degree. I didn't know anything about digital marketing. So I did all of that while I was on the job. So I was acquiring certificates, getting my master's, and then I have all of this. And I write to the company that, see, this person who came in last year is not the same person that is here right now. I now have a master's. I now have a certificate in management consulting. This position as a personal assistant is underutilizing my competency. And there was a vacancy in the company, so I wrote to them that I'm hiring the position. I don't mind if I'm given. And they said no. And I said, man, screw you. Go to hell with your job. For me, no progress. That's the point. I'm personally making progress, improving myself, but as far as the job is concerned, it's not giving me room to move forward. So it's time to quit. It's time to go find something else to do. And truth of the matter is, I quit the job, and just a few weeks after quitting, I got another job that paid me double, twice what I was earning, because those ones saw my CV and they felt like, wow, you have digital marketing skills, you have, management consulting, you have a master's degree, you deserve this. So of course, even though I didn't stay on the job for 1 month too, until I said my final bye to corporate 9 to 5, and forever you're done. I think
Okay, so that's super fantastic. The 4 points that I noted, of course, would lead me to my very next inquiry. If you're still there, Coach Dee, can you still hear me? I'm not sure, so I think we lost Coach Dee there for a minute, but he'll be back in just a bit. Now, to summarize what Coach Dee has talked
can you hear
about.
me?
Okay, yeah, fantastic. I can hear you now.
Okay, that must be network. So just wrap it up. In summary, if it's at variance with your values, if it doesn't pay you, if there's no room for growth, and if it puts your health, your mental and emotional health in danger, then it's time to quit. It's time to quit.
Okay, super amazing. I probably should have started with this. Should have asked you from the beginning, when you left the corporate world, for the rest of us who are trying to work in a hybrid manner, what motivated that decision, and what prepared you for it, and do you think you were ready for it at the time when you quit? So maybe that could shed some light, into someone's situation. You left 9 to 5, started a business, doing fantastically well for yourself, but at the time when you left, some other person would have thought, I've done so much already. I've come this far, in my attempts to build a career. How do I just let go of all of this and then, start something new? But for you, what was the motivation? What prepared you to take that decision? And then how was it after you took the decision?
All right. So, you know, number one, the other part about preparation. So we're gonna get there. I was thinking that was one thing we're gonna talk about later. But when it comes to the motivation, all right, I think I mentioned them briefly already. Number one, the first motivation was the fact that I was drained. 2019 was such a tough year for me, combining work with my master's degree. So at the end of 2019, I was physically and emotionally exhausted. I was drained. So that's one. Like I said, and of course I mentioned that if it drains your energy. I mean, if you're getting to a point where you're doing a job and you find it very difficult to wake up in the morning, you're sad. When you get to the job, you're nagging, you're grumbling, you're just doing things, simply because there's no motivation. It may mean that you need to quit. It means that this thing is definitely telling on your mental health. So that was it for me. I wouldn't say I was close to depression, but if I had held on a little longer on that job, I don't know, I might have actually entered into that zone where I'm really depressed because I was tired. And you need to be self-aware to the point where you know that really you're tired and there's no need giving it one more second. Sometimes people are tired and exhausted, but they are still digging and still trying. It's actually very dangerous. So I got to that point and I knew that then I'm tired. That's one. And two, so peradventure, if the job was a well-paying job, let's say it was paying me so much, I could have felt like, I'm tired, but really, this money. But the job, didn't have any of this. So I was tired and the job was underpaid and underutilizing me. So that was the second motivation. I was tired too. The money is not worth it. I'm not going to kill myself for 55,000 here. So I had to say, hell no, we're done. So the two, I think those were my two strongest motivations. I was tired and the money was not worth it. And the third one definitely was that the job was also at variance with my values. In almost a year, I didn't see my family, I didn't see my parents because I had to work Monday to Friday, morning till evening. Weekends, then I had to use my weekends to make up for my, inactivity during the week when it comes to church. So weekends were for church, weekdays was for school and work, weekends were for church. So there was no time for family. My faith also was greatly in that I didn't have the time to go for weekly services and all of that. And of course, my health was also, greatly affected. Mentally, I was drained. Physically, I was drained. And, it was just time for me to quit. So that was it. About preparation, which is very key. One of the things we need to talk about when we're talking about how to quit, knowing how to quit, being intelligent about quitting, is that you need to be prepared for quitting. But I wasn't prepared. I know today, I'm going to look back today. I look back today and I'm grateful, because it worked for me. Naturally, I'm a person who gets motivated by that kind of situation. But I want to say the same kind of situation would have broken somebody else. Because today I relate with people who probably finish school and they don't get a job for 2-3 months and it looks like the world is coming to an end. So if you are that kind of person, how I did quit my own job may not work for you. And like I say, if I'm opportunity to talk to somebody who has a job that wants to quit, I'm going to tell you, you need to have a plan. You definitely need to have a plan. You need to tell yourself, okay, this is not working, I want to quit. Now, if it's not gotten the extreme like mine, of course, I couldn't even be thinking of a plan at that point. But if I had been thinking of quitting earlier than that, then I would have made my plans ahead. Okay, I'm going to quit in the next 6 months. I'm going to quit in the next 1 year. Okay, if I quit, I want to start business. Can you start the business now while you're still on the job and juggle the two together so that before you finally quit, your business has gained a little traction? And it's just going to be a near smooth transition from the corporate world to the to the business world, which was what I was aiming to do. But I just left out of the blues. I just woke up one morning and said, I'm done. December 19, 2019, I wrote my letter, took it to the office. When I was about entering my director's office, I stood first. I asked myself, dude, you want to do this? Then I told myself, I want to do it. And I walked into the office, dropped the letter, and that was it. All right, so I wasn't prepared. That's the point. And the early days after I quit my job was hell. It was both refreshing and hell at the same time. It was refreshing because finally I was now away from what was actually draining me. I could now just wake up anytime I want to wake up, get enough rest. Unlike when I used to sleep very late. Because while I was also on the job, getting home around 11, I was taking courses, personal development courses. I was learning digital marketing. I was taking, an online program in management consulting. So sometimes I use the time after I get home, which is from 11 p.m. till around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. to do these things. And I still have to wake up around 4 or 5 a.m. So that's like 2 or 3 hours rest. But finally, I don't get to do all of that again. There's rest, there's peace. Nobody is giving me orders and all of that. All right. But at the other, on the other side, there was no money. I was broke. Are you there, Julius?
I'm right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. On the other side, I was broke. Very broke because I had no plan. I didn't save a dime. I couldn't even save a dime because the money I was earning wasn't enough. And I was also sponsoring my master's program myself. So I had to pay my school fees myself. I had to feed myself. I had to, pay transport and all of that in the city of Lagos. When you talk Lagos, you need to give Lagos respect. All right. So, so I did all of that all through 2019. So I had no savings. So I will admit, if you're watching this, I quit at the wrong time. Now, let me say in a way that if you followed the discussion, then you will know what I mean. Personally, today, if you ask me, I quit at the best time because it was even before the pandemic. So it was more like that decision spurred me into the choices I made in 2020, which has transformed my life today. So if you ask me from that perspective, I quit at the best time of my life. But from the other perspective, speaking about planning, and preparing, I really did quit at the wrong time. And of course, I suffered it. I suffered it for 6 months, 1 year, working, digging it in entrepreneurship, trying to make my online business work, sometimes having to beg for data. I'm saying this thing because those are the things that I went through, nights of toilet, sometimes 48 hours, non-stop, no sleep. It was a real hell, but we're on the other side.
These are the real days. Of course, I can relate to those experiences, and I think every single entrepreneur who started a great idea, who took a great idea and then formed it with their hands from scratch, actually went through some of these experiences. But then let's talk about entrepreneurship a bit, because we've more or less tried to focus on, the corporate man's experience. Let's talk about the entrepreneur's experience. I talked about my friend who did business for over 6 years and then didn't see any progress. And then someone shared with me on WhatsApp 2 days ago when I first talked about how it takes an average of 5 years for an entrepreneur to begin to see, good returns on their investment or the work they put into their startup. And this is someone who was just starting out business as well, and she said she was discouraged because it takes up to 5 years. Now, the question would then be, for someone who goes into entrepreneurship, who has a passion, who has a drive for business, and starts up a fantastic idea and starts to implement, and they've been in it for 4 years, and there's nothing to show for it. There's no sign that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. What does such a person do? Do you just give up on your fantastic business idea, or do you hold on in the hope? Emphasis again on the word hope, in the hope that it's going to yield something. So for entrepreneurs, how do you know when to give up and when to hold on?
Really, now when we get to talking about entrepreneurs now, it's a little tricky. It's a little tricky in the sense that, okay, so just like it's popularly like the facts and statistics shows that businesses really don't pick up that fast until you probably should stay at least 5 years trying to work around it. But it's also statistics also shows that business founders quit within the first 5 years of the business, because there's a point you get to maybe 2 years, 3 years, and it's not rewarding, it's not fulfilling, and you're tired, and you're like, oh, let's do something else. All right. But when it comes to business failure, really, there are a lot of things responsible for it. When it comes to struggling in business, there are a lot of things responsible for it. And like I think it was Michael Igaba, the author of what's this book? All right, maybe if I remember while we're having a discussion, I'll bring it up. Okay, so he said many entrepreneurs are accidental entrepreneurs. And that's true. Many entrepreneurs are accidental entrepreneurs. And I think I am actually in that school of. You say what?
The E-Myth, that's the book, yeah?
The E-Myth or E-Myth Revisited. Yeah, wonderful book, fantastic book. So many entrepreneurs are accidental entrepreneurs. It means they have no training whatsoever. no background whatsoever. They have no corporate job experience. They have no business management experience. They know nothing about marketing. They know nothing about selling. So oftentimes what drives them into business is they've been trying to get a job. They didn't get a job. Let's start business. Or, they don't like the fact that their bosses tell them, do this, do that. They want freedom. They want freedom of time, freedom to do whatever they want to do. Let's start a business. It looks like business is working for person A. I think I should start a business too. So people go into business knowing knowing nothing about business. So the truth of the matter is much more. The reason why people struggle in business is because many entrepreneurs have no experience whatsoever in running business and managing businesses. So really, if you have no experience doing business, the truth of the matter is you're really going to struggle in business, because business involves a lot, especially when you're starting and you're bootstrapping, or probably you're running the business as a one-man business. You're going to be one person in all. You need to know about finance management, how to raise capital, and how to use capital, very important, or else you're going to raise capital and before you know it, your capital fizzles out. So you need to know about about money management. You need to know about human resources, because you're going to be dealing with people in business. You're going to be dealing with your suppliers, you're going to be dealing with your contractors, with your employees, with your customers. You need to know a little about customer service, how to relate with people. You need to know marketing, because many people go into business, they don't know how to market their businesses. They just go on WhatsApp, go on Facebook, make noise, buy my thing. They gaslight people. If you're my friend and you're not buying my thing, you're not supporting the business, and all of those things, So you need to know about marketing, you need to know about selling, but go check it. If you've talked to many entrepreneurs, I have to, being a business coach, and you find that these people know nothing about business. They've never done a business successfully before. Many of them don't have any corporate job experiences. So the truth of the matter is, it's going to be difficult for you to run a business if you are not given to personal development. So now, while it is fine that you don't have all of those skills, you don't have all of these experiences, but if you're going to go into business, side by side you running your business, you need to be sold out to personal development. You need to be taking courses and programs. You need to be learning all of those things side by side running your business, because your business will never be better than you.
Yeah.
If you're not improving personally, if you're not developing yourself, your business is going to be a reflection of that reality. So if, for example, you look at your business, you find out that your marketing, I'm almost using very vulgar words, because I get passionate when I talk about these things. If, for example, you feel like if the marketing in your business that is not working, it's time to go learn marketing. If it's your sales selling that is poor, it's time to go learn sales. If your customer retention is bad, it's poor, it's time to go learn customer service. It's time to go learn all of this. So side by side running the business, you must be sold out to personal development. So oftentimes people struggle. So it's a little bit hard for me to tell you where you should be quitting the business that you are not running well. You get the point. So the issue may not really be that you should be quitting. The issue may be that you need to go get help. You need to go develop yourself. The issue may be that you need to go speak to him. You need to go for coaching. You need to go for tutoring. You need to go for mentoring. The issue may be that you have been running this thing alone, using the little or no knowledge you have about how to run a business successfully. And so your problem may not even be that you need to quit. Your problem may be that you need to just probably step back. Or side by side running the business, you need to go get skill. You need to go learn how to run a business successfully. All right, so like I said, the principles that applies to the person doing the 9 to 5, like we have mentioned earlier, may also apply. The same principles may apply to somebody who is also running the business. But it's a little bit more technical and tricky. Talking to an entrepreneur about when to quit. You may really need to sit down with a person, have a personal one-on-one discussion. X-ray the business, X-ray what they are doing in the business, how they're running the business, the challenges of the business, what they can do to actually, handle the situation. Then when they have tried all of that, they can now be saying, of course, even in the discussion session, you will also be able to know whether this business is really worth it. Because sometimes people start businesses they should not have started in the first place. They start businesses, they don't have a business starting in the first place, because they really don't know anything about business. So this idea just popped up in their head. There was no feasibility study to see whether this is a very vital idea. The idea has no sustainability. The idea has no possibility to scale, and we're just doing business because we want to do business. So it's a lot of things that needs to be unpacked. And you may not be able to give straight jacket answer for an entrepreneur when to quit the business until you sat down with him. You had what he's doing in the business, how he's running the business, what are the challenges of the business, and then you found out, oh man, you should not be doing this business. So it could actually take a one-to-one conversation. So if somebody is watching this video and you're an entrepreneur, you need to talk to somebody, talk to a mentor, talk to a business coach, talk to a business consultant, explain the business, what you're doing in the business, and that may be what turns this around for you. Let me give myself as a personal example. When I started Optimal Edge in 2020, of course, we took the Steve Harris coaching program together, and I'm going to say that was one of the coaching programs that really turned things around for me. And so, if I quit because things was not working, I would not have known that all I just need was just one advice, and things was going to change. And what was the thing that Steve Harris said, in the coaching program that stuck with me, still stays with me today? He said one statement. He says, in your industry, instead of going after the sheep, why not go after the shepherd? And what he was really saying is that instead of chasing after the people in the company who don't really, have so much to say in the decision making, why not go for the CEOs? He also was saying, instead of going for the small players in your industry, why not go for the big players? And I sat down at the beginning of 2021. I told myself that makes a lot of sense. So because all of 2020, our business approach was that we're prospecting Nigeria clients, and we had a couple in 2020, but they frustrated my life. Clients who want to pay 20,000 naira, but who give you 1 million naira stress. And so in 2021, we told ourselves, we're not doing this again. We're just going to focus on prospecting foreign clients, and that was the game changer. But I could have quit before that. I could have thrown in the towel. Someone could have told me it's not working. So the point is, I just needed one wisdom, one tip, and everything just blew up. So the point is, it's quite tricky because many entrepreneurs, accidental entrepreneurs, people who are in business who know nothing, about business. All right.
So speaking of accidental entrepreneurs, one of the things that I find is that it is super critical before you start a business to determine the viability of the business, and I think you have on that.
Definitely.
Sometimes you don't even need to start a business to know that it's going to fail. From the very beginning,
absolutely.
Do your market feasibility properly. You can tell whether or not this business is going to frustrate you in 2 years, or whether it's going to start yielding returns in 5 years. So
you're correct.
Start from the beginning, just from the beginning, and you must speak to experts, as Coach Dee has said. And if you're looking for a business expert to discuss with, look no further than Coach Dee. His Instagram handle is scrolling on the screen. Give him a follow, send him a message on Instagram, and don't be shy, to say, I need help, and you need someone to work with you. There are professionals and experts everywhere that can hold your hand, to support you with different aspects of your business, of your career. Do not be ashamed to say, I don't know where this is going. I need help. I don't know where this business is carrying me to go. When that help me? Yeah. So that is super, super important. Before we just wrap up now, because we're almost out of time, if you've got any questions, viewers watching on Facebook, on YouTube, if any questions, put them in the comment section at this time, and we'll try to attend to them before we wrap things up. So 2 more questions, Coach Dee, before we call it a morning. The first of them is this. What do you do, when you've invested so much time, resources, effort, blood, sweat, and tears in something, and it gets to the point where you absolutely have to leave it behind, where you absolutely have to quit? You gave an instance of someone who's been in a relationship for 10 years, finding it more difficult to quit that relationship compared to someone who's been in a relationship for 1 year. So the difference, I think, the pain of quitting is in the amount of time and resources invested in that 10 years. But sometimes you absolutely have to quit. How do you cope with the pain of leaving something behind that you've invested so much in?
All right, so I'm going to just be a little emotional now because, topics like this are really quite emotional. And, if somebody has been in a relationship for 10 years, for example, and they want to quit, man, you really need to, you need to feel with them, because that's the point. It's 10 years of investment. Sometimes it's 10 years of making phone calls every day to the person you love in the morning and at night. I know all of these things. Hey baby, good morning. You spent say 50 naira, 100 naira. So you do that for 10 solid years, and now you have to quit. And we're not talking about all of the gifts. We're not talking about all of the. Man, it's a lot of investment. So I'm just going to calm down.
Too, the memories.
The memories. But let's start this way. Because oftentimes we look at things from the negative perspective. The fact that we need to quit. That's negative. Because having to quit something that you put all your effort into is actually not positive. There's nothing positive about it. Because if you start a relationship in the first place, let's say if you're the serious type, you were hoping that this gets into marriage. So, but now that it's looking like it's not getting into, what exactly is the reason why it's not getting into marriage? That's one question you need to really face, so that it's going to help you to see things from a positive perspective. Like I said earlier, if for instance you're quitting a job because it's affecting your mental and physical health, you're going to be emotional about quitting, but you need to also see it from the bright side. Because if you quit this job, you're going to take charge of your health. You're going to take charge of your emotions and your physical health, and you're going to be at your best again. And you're going to be able to actually, reach out for more. Because the truth of the matter is, for every time we refuse to quit something bad, we delay the privilege or the opportunity to actually experience something better. So if the reason why you, okay, for example, that I'm going to bring this, we're still going to use relationship. If you're in a relationship, for example, and the two of you are ASAS genotype, the chances are that you're going to give birth to a child or several children or some children who are going to be sickle cell anemia patient. Would you rather hold on to that relationship and give birth to children that you're going to put through a life of torture and suffering because you were too emotional to do what was right? So, I haven't gone through the phase where you determine when exactly it is to quit. Should I really be quitting this? Is this worth it, or should I give this up? Once you get to that point where you have figured out that it's time to quit, this is not working, this relationship is not going anywhere, this relationship is not doing us any good, if we get married, it's not going to work, we're all just going to end up, in a bitter place after all of this, then let the motivation to quit be that you see the bright side of things. Be that you now understand that, okay, if we get married, if we don't get married, we're going to get married to other people who have, stronger genotype. We're going to give birth to healthy children. We're not going to need to waste money, trying to look after this, sickle cell patient child, in the future. We're not going to need to waste all of those emotions and efforts. And oftentimes in the end, even though it's not in all cases, but in most cases, these children still end up dying. So, would you rather save yourself from all of those experiences? That's looking from the bright side, so you may need to just sit down and look at things from the bright side. Look at things for the greater good. Look at things from the perspective of the fact that if you quit this, you're going to get your health back. If you quit this, you're probably going to get another job that's going to pay you much more. If you quit this, you're probably going to get another job that is going to, help you to improve and become a better person. So look at it from a positive perspective. So that is one. That's going to help you, because it's going to help you a little to win your emotions from that negative feeling of failure, of not wanting to quit or wanting to hold on for too long. It doesn't also mean that when you quit, you're not going to have times when you're going to cry. You're going to have times when you're going to just sit there and be like, oh, I miss this person, and you just begin to cry and you soak your pillow. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's part of the healing and the transformation or the change process. It's actually normal. Then number two. Okay, I wouldn't use relationship example for this. I'm just going to use job and business, because if it's for relationship, by saying have a plan, then what's the plan? The plan is going to be, okay, now that you're with this person and it looks like you have to quit, quickly look for a side chick, or So I'm not going to use relationship for this. I'm just going to use probably a job. You have a job and you're thinking you finally gotten to the point where it's time to quit. Then you should have a plan. Because the moment when you quit, you're going to need money to survive. Because sometimes some jobs allow you the privilege to be on the job and still be looking for that job. You still have time to go for interviews, such that your prospective on that job, and you can even get a job and just resign here and go to this one. But some of that jobs don't allow you. There's no time. You can't sneak out and go do any interview. So you may need to really quit that job and stay a while doing nothing before you get another job. Or if you're going to quit 9 to 5 for business, it means at the beginning of the business, when the business is not paying you much, you're going to need to survive. You're going to need to still meet your needs, do the basic things that you actually used to do with the money that comes from your job. So you need to plan, save. Yeah, one of the things you need to do is to save. You need to have a savings put aside, that such that when you quit your job, the money can be, apportioned to your upkeep, while you're still working to get another job or to make the business work. So you need to have a plan. Plan ahead. Don't just wake up tomorrow and quit like me. If you're listening to this, you're watching this, you can actually set out a plan. If this job is not working for you, you want to quit it, give yourself time. 3 months, 6 months, then quit. One of the ways to also have a plan is, if, for example, you're someone who is willing to quit and go to business like me. Can you start the business now? Yeah. It's something you can juggle together with your 9 to 5, so that you can begin to gain traction for the business. And when the business, it could even be possible that at some point in the business is already beginning to make a little sense, that is now very feasible for you to quit the job and go face the business, because the demands of the business is now becoming much, and therefore you're going to have something engaging doing, and it's also productive. So you need to have a plan. So I mentioned number one, look at things from the bright side. Number two, you need to have a plan. Number three, the moment after you quit, take time off. I did that when I quit my job. 2 months. I took time off. All I was doing every day is reading. I was reading. What I was just simply doing was trying to get my energy back. I was trying to rest, all of the stress, get to, just let them flow out. Do the few things that I love doing. Also, I was trying to read because I needed direction. I needed to know what next to do. But of course, if you were actually intelligent about quitting, you would definitely have figured all of this out. I didn't figure it out because I just woke up one morning and I said, I'm done. So the early time for me was a time when I needed to sit myself down and ask myself, okay, so what next? So I had to, just pull up, just chill, do exercises, go sightseeing, I had to, read books and all of that. And let me tell you, in that process of waiting, the reason why, one of the things that inspired me to start the business I started in 2020 was the book by MJ DeMarco, Millionaire Fastlane. And those were one of the books I read during those 1 or 2 months when I was off working. Millionaire Fastlane, and when this guy, more or less like somebody who has my kind of mindset and shared my kind of view. So that book greatly helped me. I'm not going to go into the details of the book. If you want to get the book, go find it. Millionaire Fastlane, MJ DeMarco. Yeah. And so reading that book in that period of waiting was one thing for me that really also helped me start my 2020 on a bright note. So I'm simply saying, number one, look at things from the bright side. Number two, have a plan. Number three, take time off. Take a break. Take a break. Some people leave a relationship today, get into another one tomorrow. How? How do you do it? Take time off. You don't do it. If the relationship was abusive and last state, and you're in another one the next day, you're going to bring all of the baggage from that previous relationship into this one. And the person you're with now is going to be the person suffering for what he doesn't know about. Because I've been in one like that before and I know what I'm saying. So take time off. Heal. Get all the baggages off. Learn to love again. Learn to trust again. Learn to see that love can be beautiful. Because one of the things that may have done to you, that may have battered, your idea of a relationship, you may now begin to think like men are scum, women are scum. Yeah. You need to heal of all of those ideologies before you go meet someone else, or you're going to put the other person in trouble. So you need to take time off. Yeah. So I rest my case.
Gracias. Thanks a lot. And I think the two things that struck me the most, the first of them is something that a lot of people struggle with. We associate a lot of the events that happen to us with the negative emotions. But sometimes when people say quit, when people say give up, when people say leave, it doesn't actually always mean a bad thing, because sometimes you might be giving up, a toxic environment that is stifling your growth. Sometimes you might be giving up on something that is holding you back from a lot of things. Sometimes giving up might mean giving up so that you can access opportunities that your present situation are stopping you from.
I'm going to chip in and say, if I didn't quit what I was doing in 2019, I won't be in this space where I am now, living the life that I've always desired to live. So while quitting might have been difficult then, I left for the better side where I am now. So you need to learn to look at things from the positive side, because like somebody said, oftentimes when a door shuts, we pay too much attention to the closed door that we can't see that there is an open door somewhere around. I did an analysis in 2020, and it is that several people lost their jobs during the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic, but let me just say it was at the height then. So during the coronavirus pandemic, several people lost their jobs because, for example, in a lockdown situation, companies could not afford to be paying, they were not making so much money, so they couldn't afford to be paying, accountants and the lawyers on, monthly pay and all of that. So they laid them off. But one of the things that grew in 2020 is the gig economy, the freelance economy. Because because if you get to start your accountant, you still need somebody in the business to do the paperwork, to do the accounts. But the issue is we can't pay somebody on a month's payment, but we are still going to pay somebody to do the accounts. So most businesses left the, monthly payments and went to the gig economy to go look for freelancers whom they just give their accounts to do once when it is needed, and they pay them just for that job rather than pay somebody for months doing nothing. So a smart move by somebody who just lost his job is to go and reposition yourself in the gig economy, in the freelance market, so that the same employers who sack you there, when they come to the gig economy, they'll find you there.
Exactly.
So looking away from a closed door and seeing that there's another opportunity, because as people were losing their job, it was opening the freelance market. So while this door was closing, this door was opening. But people got to, some people were whining too long, we lost our job, life is ending, people gave up, people, that they could not see that there is another opportunity open where they can go and rightly position themselves. And for some persons in Africa, for example, if you lose your job and you go position yourself in the freelance economy, you're likely going to be making money in dollars. And that's going to be more than what you were earning in Naira, working in Nigeria, doing a 100,000 job. Yeah. So that's the point. So sometimes when you want to quit, you need to look at it from the bright side, look at it from the positive side. Don't focus too much on the fact that you're quitting. Look at the good things, the better future that is ahead. If things get to work out, then that's it.
Amazing. So I think that's all the time we have, which means that we're just going to wrap up the conversation now. And I will begin by saying a very huge thank you to you, Coach Dee. There are so many gems that you have given to us, to viewers today. And I hope someone was taking notes. I was taking notes, and I'm going to do a summary of the key points from this conversation. And then together with the replay of this live stream, I would upload that onto the Accelerate Africa community group. I'll be sharing the link to join that group in just a minute. But allow me to say thank you so much, Coach Dee. Thank you for making the time to be here. And I'll see you in just a few more minutes after now. And before you go, let me just put this to you. If you were to do it all over again, would you still quit your job to pursue entrepreneurship?
1,000,000 times again and again.
Amazing. So at the end of the day, yes, please go on before I see what I was going to say.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in recent years, this is like one of the best decisions that I've made in my life.
Yeah, I can totally relate with that. Absolutely. So I've shared my own story so many times. I don't get tired of sharing it, and hopefully I'll do it again in another webinar. But let us know if you enjoyed this webinar. Drop your comment whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay. Let me know if you had a good time today. If there are questions, leave them in the comments. We'll respond to them by text. And then if there are any other subjects or topics that you want us to cover in subsequent webinars, leave them in the comments as well, and we will attend to them. Coach Dee, thanks a lot. I hope to see you on this platform sometime.
Yeah. It's been a wonderful time, so you trust me. Call me anytime. We're doing this again and again and again and again.
And again and again. Have a wonderful weekend, man.
You too.
Right, and we are wrapping up the live stream for today. Thank you so much for staying with us. I see all the likes, all the love you're showing on Facebook. Thanks, of course, to everyone who is also watching on YouTube. The replay of this particular live stream is going to be available on the Accelerate Africa community on Facebook, and the link to join that community is now showing on your screen. Don't forget, you can also follow Coach Dee on Instagram. His Instagram handle is @businesscoach_D. That's businesscoach_D. It's also scrolling on your screen right there. Thank you once again for joining, and I hope to see you all the next time we have another live stream. Until then, Julius Omokhunu is my name, and I urge you to stay on top of your game. Have a wonderful weekend.